Girlfriend blaming me for chlamydia infection. Am I at fault or is she cheating? Info. Were you tested at least a couple of months after your first sexual encounter? Many people get a negative test result before the incubation period is complete and think they're good, then end up walking around with an STI for years. Incubation period is usually 3 weeks, but in some cases it can be as long as a couple of months. But based on the timelines you provided, it is within the realm of possibility that she cheated, or it's also possible that she's had an asymptomatic case of it since you both have gotten together, or the scenario I've detailed above. Go get tested. Then tell this to your doctor and see how likely they think it is that you were asymptomatic this whole time. Important. Have either of you come in contact with a koala recently? Question mark. Question mark. Both are possible. Guys can be asymptomatic, and worse yet, guys can even test negative when they carry it, although that is more rare. No matter what, you both need a full run of antibiotics. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide if she's cheating on you. Nope. I literally went through this 6 months ago. My long-term boyfriend cheated and gave me chlamydia. We weren't using protecting as I have an IUD, and were committed for over 3 years. We were talking about marriage and serious. I was peeing all the time, so I went to the doctor for blood work thinking I was pregnant. I got the call that I needed to come back in person and knew it wasn't good. I was fully prepared to be told I was pregnant and was terrified. I was blindsided when I was told I have chlamydia. I have endometriosis, uterus problems, and had surgery 2 years ago. I called my doctor to ask if I was tested before my surgery, and sure enough I was tested and negative. So I knew this was recent in him. When I called him, he tried to give me 14 different excuses. He told me he shared a towel with his bro. He tried to use to toilet seat excuse. After those and other excuses didn't work, he went as far as telling me he was secretly sexually assaulted and must have gotten it from there. He tried every single excuse he could think of and nothing made sense. The only way I could have gotten it, he's the only person I've ever been with, was him cheating. I'm so sorry, Op. You've been cheated on and I know exactly what you're feeling. It's a mix of betrayal and shock. I'm so sorry you're going through this. She can try to say as many excuses as she wants, but the only logical answer is she cheated. I'm so sorry. Yes. Either could be true. Some sources say 50% of men can be asymptomatic carriers for years and can infect their partners. Nearly 70% of women might be asymptomatic. Testing is never perfect. It's very good, but never perfect. Get tested. Again. Regardless of the test, get some antibiotics. She has it. Just assume you do, too. I had this exact same scenario happen. I hadn't cheated. He was an extremely honest person and I highly doubt he cheated. One of us had it and it went undetected for 3 years before I just happened to get tested and found out. With no symptoms and 2 negative tests. Very unlikely are you the source of this infection. I would still get tested and treated. Borderline medical. But if you're testing clean and she has the STD, then she's the one who is stepping out. Surprised nobody else here has mentioned or asked this yet. Did your original STI testing include a throat swab? Yes. It's nasty. Some STIs can infect your throat. Your genitals can be infection-free, but the pathogen gets passed on via oral sex. And bam! Couples end up in a situation like this. Please, 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 before you make your determination on whether there's been infidelity or not, consider this possibility and ask your healthcare provider to give the relevant tests, even if you have to push for them. I find it weird you didn't get treated for chlamydia just on the basis of suspicion. I've had chlamydia 2 times and on both occasions I got the 4 pills without even getting tested. It can take up to 12 months for the test to show positive after contact. It is low chance but possible that you had it and tested too soon and tested negative. Was asymptomatic. Gave it to her and she was asymptomatic until a recent symptom flare where she tested positive. Chlamydia is very hard to detect, especially in guys. I'm shocked that your doctor didn't just straight up put you on medication after knowing you'd had unprotected sex with someone who tested positive. Planned Parenthood just made me aware of a couple new tests that they offered and it's a real eye-opener. They used to just test for chlamydia with a vaginal swab for women and I think you guys might have something similar. Anyway, now they offer chlamydia swabs for the back of the throat, the genitals, and as well as the anus. And I asked them how this came to be and they said that it can live in these places, especially the back of your throat, for years on end without any symptoms to the carrier, and so that it's absolutely possible to pass it on when nobody at all has cheated. I am thankful AF that I was offered and took the test. I have been celibate for about 5 years then. Symptoms. Was just there for my annual but took them up on the offer. Why no? I got a phone call the very next day that it was detected in 2 places and neither were my vajay. So if I had gotten together with somebody before then, in those 5 years, I would have passed it to them. Forget pleading your case or trying to convince that person that you've been faithful, or even make any sort of sense of the situation for yourself. I wouldn't have had any idea how to begin to account for this. This was only last year. You would be asymptomatic, but so could she be asymptotic? It doesn't mean someone was cheating. Luckily, it is fairly easily to take care of the problem. Chlamydia often has no obvious symptoms. She could have had it for years and not known. I would not assume she is cheating. Both of you get a full panel of STD screening. I'd have one more test before you decide, and you really need to anyway. Chlamydia isn't something that it takes 3 years to show up. So let's say you had it 3 years ago. She would have had symptoms right away. Get tested and go from there. But I think she cheated on you. She definitely cheated on you. Chlamydia doesn't resurface after 3 years like that, especially after not 1 but 2 negative tests. I mean, I have been underweight my whole life and the first time I had sex was with someone who said he'd never had sex before, but then several years down the line, I somehow got chlamydia when I wasn't even sexually active. So I believe when I gained a bit of weight, finally it went, oh hey, time to wake up. Quote.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.